Hello, all, and welcome back to This Day in History. It is July 10th, and it's a beautiful day. Blue skies, sunny, warm. Man, it's just afternoon, and it's already like 82 degrees. So, I mean, it's hot. It's a scorcher. So, do take care to stay hydrated and be safe in this heat wave, because it's only going to get. I think it's supposed to be like 103 or something like that, where I'm at anyway today. We got a lot of interesting stuff, so let's get into it, shall we? Our very first birthday for the day, for July 10th, is Solomon Northup. He was an American farmer and writer. 1871, we see the birth of French writer Marcel Proust. 1875, we see the birth of African American educator Mary McLeod Bethune. She also was active in national black affairs and became a special advisor to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So that's pretty cool. In 1922, we see the birth of American boxer of Jake LaMotta, the Raging Bull. There was actually a movie that was based on his life. It was one of Robert De Niro's first movies, I believe. Um, so he was a pretty impressive boxer back in his day. 1943, we see the birth of Arthur Ashe. Arthur Ashe is an African American tennis player. He was the first uh, black man to win major men's singles championships. 1972, Sofia Vergara. She's a Colombian American actress. Her birthday is today, and that woman still looks good. Damn, she's sorry. She is still so beautiful. But that does it for the birthdays for July 10th. Actually, no, I take that back. There is this special featured birthday would be John Calvin. He was born in 1509. He was a French theologian. He would be the founder of the Calvinist movement. There is a Protestant church here, at least here in the United States. I'm sure it's probably in France as well. I'm not sure. Um, Called they're the Calvinists. Um, the Calvinist church got its start from his theologies. They focus a lot on predestination. Um, that it was already predestined whether or not you were going to be you're going to heaven or not, which kind of falls in line with the notion of once saved always saved, um, because of the predestination. Um, that's kind of one of their belief systems, I guess. Um, so that's the last of the birthdays. Let's get into the real history. We go back to 1553. Lady Jane Grey. Now, mind you, this is the 15-year-old granddaughter of, or great granddaughter, excuse me. It's the 15-year-old great granddaughter of Henry VII. She becomes Queen of England, but her reign only lasts 9 days, and in the following year, Mary Tudor has her executed. Brutal. Speaking of executions, well, it's not really an execution. 1584, we see William the First. Um, he's of the Netherlands. I guess that there was like a combined. He was the first of this solidified power that would have been in the Netherlands or something like that. At any rate, he was assassinated on this day. Talk about brutal. Um, But in keeping with, John Calvin, because I mean Calvinists, they're Protestant church. It's just like the evangelicals or the Assemblies of God or the Lutherans. I guess you'd lump Seventh Day Adventists in there. Baptists. Anglican, perhaps. Anyway, these are all known as Protestant churches, and Protestant being anything that's not Catholic. So what do we see happening in 1609? Well, we see the Catholic League being formed in 1609, and it's formed by Maximilian I, who was the Duke of Bavaria, as well as Catholic powers in Germany. And what this Catholic League was, basically, it was a military alliance that was created to basically combat the spread of Protestantism. Much like in the way of the Crusades, where all of Christendom, which back then was basically Catholic, they all rallied troops together to go remove the Moors from Europe, the Moors being Muslims, and trying to contain the spread of Islam. So that was the theory behind the Catholic League. I don't know if they... I don't know what all they did, because I've never really heard of them, but that doesn't mean anything. All of that means that I just don't know everything in history. Moving right along, we have 1925, we have the Scopes trial. It began on this day in 1925 in Dayton, Tennessee. What is the Scopes trial? Well, John T. Scopes was tried for teaching the Darwin theory of evolution. And in doing so, he violated state law, and because the state had passed the Butler Act, making it unlawful to teach anything that denies the, creation from the Bible. Funny enough, we just had this guy featured in the other day on this series, William Jennings Bryan. He was counsel for the prosecution. Clarence Darrow was defense counsel. And I apologize, I didn't go any further to see what the outcome of that trial was. Fast forward to 1952. A constitution is adopted for Eritrea. It was prepared by the UN in consultation with Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia. 10 years later, we have the Swedish engineer Niels Bohlin. He was issued a patent for this guy right here, the 3-point car seat, or seatbelt for cars, rather. That was, that happened. That patent was granted on this day in 1962. On this day in 1965, the Rolling Stones, they hit number 1 in the U.S. charts with their song, and it was the first time they'd ever hit number 1, at least number 1 in the U.S., I believe, with their song Satisfaction. I Can't Get No Satisfaction, that song right there. In 1973, the Bahamas gained their independence from Britain within the Commonwealth. 1985, now this is interesting. 1985, the Greenpeace ship. Greenpeace is it's an environmentalist outfit. Their ship, the Rainbow Warrior, was birthed in Auckland Harbor. That's in New Zealand. But it was sunk by 2 bomb explosions. And here's the interesting thing is that it was later revealed that the bombs were placed by French intelligence agents. So I don't know what the French had against a bunch of environmentalists, but they blew up their boat. 1991, we see Boris Yeltsin being sworn in as Russia's first elected president. 2015, Egyptian actor Omar Sharif dies at the age of 83, and I actually liked his work. I've seen him in a few movies. I've seen Lawrence of Arabia, which was 1962. He was known for that movie. I was kind of in and out. I really didn't. I need to sit down and watch it again, I think, but I don't really remember that movie. Peter O'Toole played Lawrence in that movie, and Omar Sharif was in that movie. Omar Sharif was also in Dr. Zhivago in 1965. Never seen that movie. I hear it's a classic. I don't know. But what I do remember of him, that he had a small bit in The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas. And he was a decent actor. I liked him. So when he passed away in 2015, it was unfortunate. But I mean, he was 83, so a little bit of a long life there. Next, we have 2019 Volkswagen. The German automaker ends its long production period of the Beetle. The Beetle was the first model of the Beetle was introduced, way back in 1938. So I would argue that the Beetle is probably the single longest running model vehicle produced ever in history. Because it had various iterations, obviously, like all models do. But from 1938 to when they finally ceased production for good in 2019. Now, I thought that they had ceased production for a few years there. I'm wanting to say that it was like in the 90s that they'd ceased production, and then when they rolled out the newer style of Beetle versus the old Bug that I remember from when I was a kid, my dad had one, that there was a production gap there too. I seem to want to recall that there was a production gap, but I'm not sure. But the featured event for today, it's on this day in 1962, July 10, 1962, the Telstar 1 is launched. Now, it was the first communication satellite of its time, but what it was able to do is that it was able to broadcast or simulcast, they shoot the signal up to the satellite and the satellite sends it back down across the Atlantic Ocean. What they did is they were able to send telephonic transmissions as well as live television signals across the Atlantic Ocean. So basically, Telstar kept communication open between the United States and Europe. And that will do it for this day in history for July 10. I am on my way to the gym now. It is hot. Like I said, it's 82 degrees. It's just after noon. It's probably closer to 12:30 now. At any rate, be safe, take care, and stay hydrated. This heat is no joke. All right? So be blessed, and we will do this again tomorrow for July 11th. All right? Take care. Bye.